A lunar eclipse is one of those rare moments when science and mystery seem to meet in the same sky. The moon, which normally shines with its familiar pale glow, slowly begins to darken. The night changes, shadows deepen, and then, for a brief and unforgettable period, the moon can appear deep red or copper-colored. For thousands of years, people around the world have looked at this strange sight and asked the same question: what does it mean? Ancient people did not have modern astronomy, powerful telescopes, or satellites. When the moon suddenly changed its appearance, they often explained it through stories, warnings, legends, and supernatural beliefs. Some imagined that a giant creature was swallowing the moon. Others believed the heavens were sending a warning. Some families followed special customs, while others avoided certain activities completely. Even today, many of these beliefs continue. And that brings us to an important question. When the moon turns dark or red, what is actually happening, and which of the old beliefs are myths? On August 28, 2026, people in parts of the US and UK regions will have the opportunity to experience a partial lunar eclipse, sometimes popularly described in connection with the dramatic image of a blood moon. The event may inspire wonder, curiosity, and perhaps even a little mystery, but understanding what is real can make the experience even more fascinating. So let us step into the shadow of the moon and uncover 5 of the most common myths about a lunar eclipse. Myth number 1. A lunar eclipse can harm pregnant women and unborn babies. This is one of the oldest and most emotionally powerful lunar eclipse beliefs. In some traditions and folk stories, pregnant women are told to stay indoors during an eclipse. They may be warned not to look at the moon, not to use sharp objects, or not to move around unnecessarily. The belief has taken different forms in different cultures, but the fear behind it is often similar, that something unusual happening in the sky could somehow influence the unborn child. But scientifically, there is no evidence that a lunar eclipse can harm a pregnant woman or affect an unborn baby. A lunar eclipse does not release dangerous radiation. It does not send harmful rays toward Earth. It does not create a mysterious force that enters the human body. What actually happens is much simpler. Earth moves between the sun and the moon. Earth's shadow then falls across the lunar surface, reducing or changing the sunlight that reaches the moon. That is all. The eclipse changes what we see in the sky. It does not transform the moon into a dangerous object. Still, the old belief is interesting because it reveals something about the way ancient societies understood the heavens. Pregnancy represented life, hope, and the future. An eclipse represented uncertainty and sudden change. It was perhaps natural for people to connect these two powerful mysteries. Symbolically, an eclipse can remind us that life often continues through moments of darkness and uncertainty. But symbolism should not be confused with physical danger. For a pregnant woman today, the moon itself presents no special danger during a lunar eclipse. Myth number 2. Food and water become poisonous or unsafe. Another popular belief is that food and water should not be consumed during an eclipse. In some households, people may cover their food. Others may avoid eating until the eclipse has ended. Some old folk traditions claim that the unusual celestial event changes food or makes it harmful. But there is no scientific evidence that a lunar eclipse changes the chemical makeup of food or water. A sandwich remains a sandwich. A glass of water remains water. The moon's shadow cannot suddenly turn ordinary food into poison. The reason this belief may have survived for generations is connected to the mystery of the event itself. In the past, an eclipse could feel like a disruption of the natural order. The familiar moon was changing. Darkness was appearing at an unusual time. People may have believed that if the sky was changing, perhaps everything below it was changing too. This is a common pattern in human folklore. When people do not understand an event, they often connect it to the things closest to everyday life: food, family, health, animals, and fortune. But modern science tells us that food does not spoil because the moon enters Earth's shadow. Of course, food can spoil for ordinary reasons such as heat, bacteria, or improper storage, but an eclipse itself does not cause it. There is, however, something symbolically interesting about the old custom of pausing before eating during an eclipse. It reflects a moment of awareness. Ancient people stopped what they were doing and looked toward the sky. For a brief period, ordinary life was interrupted by something that felt larger than human existence. And perhaps that symbolic meaning still matters today. Not because the food becomes dangerous, but because sometimes looking up from our daily routines reminds us how vast the universe really is. Myth number 3. Looking at a lunar eclipse can damage your eyes. This myth is especially important because it is often confused with a completely different type of eclipse. A solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse are not the same. Looking directly at the sun can seriously damage your eyes. During a solar eclipse, special eye protection is required when viewing the sun directly. But a lunar eclipse is different. During a lunar eclipse, you are looking at the moon, not directly at the sun. The moon does not produce its own sunlight. It reflects sunlight. And when a lunar eclipse occurs, the moon is actually receiving less direct sunlight than usual. This means that a lunar eclipse can be viewed safely with the naked eye. You can also observe it through binoculars or a telescope. No special eclipse glasses are required for viewing the moon during a lunar eclipse. So why does this confusion happen? Perhaps because the word eclipse sounds dangerous and dramatic. The two events share the same word, but the viewing rules are very different. A solar eclipse involves the brilliant and powerful light of the sun. A lunar eclipse involves the moon passing through Earth's shadow. The distinction is simple but important. And perhaps there is a deeper lesson here as well. Sometimes people hear one warning and apply it everywhere. But understanding requires us to look carefully at the differences. Not every eclipse is the same. Not every old warning applies to every situation. Sometimes fear disappears when knowledge becomes more precise. So when the partial lunar eclipse of August 28, 2026 appears, there is no need to fear looking up at the moon. In fact, it is one of the safest and most beautiful celestial events to observe. Myth number 4. A blood moon brings bad luck, disaster, or doom. This may be the most mysterious lunar eclipse belief of all. When the moon appears unusually dark or reddish, many people immediately associate the color with danger. Red can symbolize blood, fire, war, warning, or destruction. And throughout history, a strange red moon has inspired countless stories and superstitions. Some ancient people saw it as a warning from the heavens. Others believed that something terrible was about to happen. In certain folk traditions, unusual changes in the moon were connected with political trouble, natural disasters, or bad fortune. But a reddish moon is not a message predicting doom. It is the result of sunlight interacting with Earth's atmosphere. As sunlight passes through Earth's atmosphere, different wavelengths of light are scattered in different ways. The red and orange portions of sunlight can continue bending through the atmosphere and reach the moon even while Earth blocks the direct sunlight. This is why the moon can sometimes appear coppery or reddish during a lunar eclipse. The mysterious color is real, but the supernatural prediction is not. The moon is not bleeding. It is not sending a warning. It is not announcing bad luck. It is simply revealing the way sunlight travels through Earth's atmosphere. And yet, perhaps there is a symbolic reason why people have always been fascinated by a red moon. A blood moon-like appearance can remind us that familiar things can look completely different when the light changes. The moon itself has not become a different world. Earth, the sun, and the angle of light have simply changed the way we see it. Perhaps human life works the same way. Sometimes circumstances change, and suddenly something familiar appears frightening or strange. But the thing itself may not have changed as much as our perspective. The darkened moon, then, does not have to symbolize doom. It can symbolize transformation, mystery, and the power of perspective. Myth number 5. Animals become mad or experience supernatural fear. Stories about animals and eclipses are especially fascinating. People have claimed that animals become frightened, confused, restless, or strangely silent during an eclipse. Some folklore suggests that animals sense supernatural danger before humans do. The truth is more natural, but still incredibly interesting. Animals can react to sudden changes in light. During a lunar eclipse, the gradual darkening can affect creatures that rely on light to understand when it is time to rest, hunt, or remain active. Daytime birds may become quieter if the surroundings become unexpectedly dark. Nocturnal animals may react differently to changes in brightness. Other animals may simply continue behaving normally. The important point is that unusual behavior does not necessarily mean animals are experiencing supernatural fear. They are responding to environmental changes. Animals are deeply connected to rhythms of light and darkness. Humans often forget how powerful these rhythms can be because we surround ourselves with artificial lights, screens, and cities that never truly sleep. But animals still live closely connected to the natural world. So, an eclipse may create a brief moment of confusion. Not madness, not supernatural terror, just a reaction to an unusual change in the environment. And perhaps this old myth contains a symbolic lesson too. When the familiar world suddenly changes, confusion is natural. Animals experience it. Humans experience it. But confusion does not always mean danger. Sometimes it simply means that something unexpected has happened. As August 28, 2026 approaches, the partial lunar eclipse will once again remind people across the US and UK regions of something ancient. No matter how advanced our technology becomes, people still stop when the sky does something unusual. We still look up. We still wonder. We still search for meaning. And perhaps that is why lunar eclipse myths have survived for so long. They are not only stories about the moon, they are stories about human fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of sudden change. Fear that something beyond our control may affect our lives. The scientific explanation of a lunar eclipse may be clear. Earth moves between the sun and the moon, creating a shadow across the lunar surface. But the human meaning of an eclipse is more complicated. For some, it is a scientific event. For others, it is a spiritual moment. For others, it is simply a beautiful night under an unusual moon. And there is nothing wrong with finding personal or symbolic meaning in the sky, as long as symbolism is not confused with scientific fact. A lunar eclipse does not harm pregnant women. It does not poison food or water. It does not damage the eyes. It does not bring automatic bad luck. And animals do not become magically possessed by fear. Yet the stories surrounding these myths remain valuable in another way. They show us how earlier generations tried to understand a universe that seemed mysterious and unpredictable. Their explanations may not always match modern science, but their stories reveal humanity's oldest habit. When we see something mysterious, we try to explain it. On August 28, 2026, when the moon enters Earth's shadow and the night sky begins to change, perhaps the greatest mystery will not be whether the eclipse brings danger. Perhaps the greater mystery is why, after thousands of years, the moon still has the power to make us stop and wonder. And maybe that is the true symbolic meaning of a lunar eclipse. Even in a world filled with answers, the universe can still make us feel small. It can still make us curious. And sometimes, the most beautiful thing about the darkness is that it reminds us to look toward the light.